Can you do something about the sound?
Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Srila Prabhupada ki Gaur Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I think amongst our young people here, you three have heard it twice already now. Who is Vritrasura, right? Yes? How about you? Vritrasura? No idea, right? Not even a clue. Okay, we'll do it again. This is for you, so gotta pay attention. You know what the word asura means? Yes? There's Sura, that's the demigods, and there's the asuras, that's the demons. And we're going to be speaking about Vritra Asura. Vritra Asura is a very remarkable personality. He had characteristics, external characteristics like a demon, by the way he looked and things like that, the way he talked and things like that. But inside, he was a topmost personality, devotee. Perfect, perfect. So we discussed this a few times, twice at least. How is it that someone that looks like and has activities like a bad person inside, they're actually most elevated consciousness person? How does that work? So there was a question, that question came up when Shukadeva Goswami was narrating about Vritrasura. He would ask, how did this happen? How did he have both these two opposite characteristics in one person? And the answer takes 4 chapters of the Bhagavatam to narrate in detail. But there was a great king, very elevated king, named Chitraketu. King Chitraketu, great king. So many ways great. And there was one shortcoming. He was overly attached, way too attached to the duty of a king, that a king should leave behind him the successor king. That means he should have a son. And there was no son. So he'd married many, too many queens. Still no son. No son. One might think you'd get the idea, okay, it's not meant to happen, no son. But he didn't relent. Angira Muni was one of the direct sons of Lord Brahma. Angira Muni visited his palace, received Angira Muni very nicely. Angira Muni said, "You don't look so happy, what's wrong?" We said many things, and the king said, "Oh, I don't have a son." can you help me have a son? And Angira could see he was too attached. After so many, 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 many queens, still no son, too attached. So he decided to help him become unattached. Very clever. He performed a yagya, and from the yagya there was some payasam, some like sweet rice. Then he was to give his sweet rice, this pot of sweet rice, to one of his queens. And with that queen, the eldest queen, was to have a son. And sure enough, later she had a son. But the other queens were envious. Oh, he's paying all attention to this one queen and not to us? And some of them started conspiring. And you know what they decided to do? They decided to poison the child, the little boy, because they were envious. Too much attention went to him and away from them. So they poisoned him. And then when the queen and the king woke in the morning, only to find that their son was dead, they screamed and cried and carried on. Right on cue, Angira Muni and Narada both showed up. And Angira Muni and Narada started speaking because he was now no longer able to be attached because his son was taken. They spoke transcendental knowledge. Like really, really, they let him have it. Transcendental knowledge about the eternal and the temporary. And the king was so delirious with anxiety over the loss of his son, he didn't even recognize who it was. Who are you? You spoke such high things. Who are you? He said, you don't remember because you're too crazy about loss of your son. But I'm Angira Muni, the same one that enabled you to have your son. And I told you before he was born, he would be the cause of both happiness and distress. No, he had the happiness and now he's got the distress because he's gone.